Well, hey. Oh, wrong scene. There we go. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Blue Gamer Bluecast morning show. I'm your host, Adam Blue, 30-plus year video game enthusiast and industry analyst. Today is January 6th, 2025. Now, really, yeah, there's still Christmas decorations out, but it really does feel like that's past. It does. I mean, I guess we're back into work and everything. Kids aren't back to school yet. That's tomorrow. But I feel like the holidays have dissipated. But what hasn't dissipated is the weather. It's insane, actually. It's 21 right now in North Texas, where it feels like -3 because of the wind. It's insane. It was -6 when I first got up. It is so cold. I've kept all the curtains closed to kind of keep, I guess, some sort of shielding between the cold and the inside. Also, I am totally bundled up right now because it is just cold. But yeah, that's what happens this time of year. It's fun, right? But let's see, what should we talk about? It is Monday. I have games that I played over the weekend we'll talk about. I got the PlayStation Portal. I think that's what we'll start with real quick. So, here it is. Here's the PlayStation Portal. This is something that I wasn't initially going to get. Actually, I was. They first announced it. I was like, oh yeah, this is actually my type of thing. It's a portable that I can then play my games on. And it's not that I have to buy like an extra. I don't have to buy games a second time, right? The idea of this is, yeah, they call it. There's a certain terminology for it. It's where you can take your games off screen. Just the idea that you can have a companion device that allows you to then play your games anywhere. I do that with the ROG Ally. The Switch is kind of that already. So first impressions. Let me turn this down actually because it's gonna be pretty loud. You know, I'm actually shocked how good the quality is. And I think what helps is this being a specified, specific thing. You know, like I can turn it on. I'm just in my PlayStation menu. And for the most part, I'd say 95% of the time I'm playing and it looks absolutely perfect. I have my PS5 wired into a modem. That way I'm getting, I guess the best I can. I have Wi-Fi 6 in the house. And something else I did was make it to where this would play on the 5 gigahertz network or the 5 gigahertz band in the household. And I set it to priority in the app. But it's pretty interesting. It's really hard to see on screen. You can't hear just how much it looks native, like I'm natively playing my PS5. I will say that I did run into a couple issues. And at first, before I put it just on the 5 gigahertz band, I was playing, and then all of a sudden, got a notification, PS5 disconnected while I was in the middle of the game. I'm like, what the crap? And then I kind of give it some time, and then I can log back in. And it didn't take long, like under 30 seconds, enough time where like if I was in a game I didn't die or anything. I wish it kind of knew to go to the home screen or, press home to pause the game on its own. And maybe there's something to that I haven't seen yet. But again, not that it was common, but that would happen where it would say lost connection and then bring you back. Now, before I put it on the 5 gigahertz band, it would sometimes do the buffering and then slow down, and I'm like, okay, this is not the experience I want. But then once I had it on the 5 gigahertz band, had it says priority, my PS5 is wired in, and actually, even though it was wired in, it was showing up as on using the wireless network, so I had to switch that too. But once I got that all working, I even went, this is downstairs in the office, my modem and everything, I went upstairs into the bedroom, was playing it. It did, after about 30 minutes, maybe 20 to 30 minutes, yeah, that's about it, I guess. It did do the thing where it would disconnect. I was able to reconnect and keep going, but that is annoying. I feel like that I shouldn't have to worry about. But while you could get this cheaper if you look around, Its asking price is $200. And I feel like with the size of the screen and how light this is lighter than a DualShock controller, it feels. It's crazy, unless it's just the distribution, maybe, of the weight. And yeah, how good it feels. I was trying Astrobot because that does best with the vibration. This thing is actually pretty amazing. But at the same time, there's been upgrades mostly made to it to make it stream better. I think when people first got their hands on this, it wasn't streaming that well. It wasn't working out that well. But at this point, I can safely pick it up, put in some time into Godzilla PS4, and you know what? When GBO2, I guess it's got its update. I need to get back into GBO2 more. This would be an easy way to do it. Because again, even though I'm streaming to this, I'll be hardwired through the PlayStation. Now, I was able to do it with the ROG Ally. And I would say the difference is the ROG Ally didn't seem to disconnect as much, but it didn't look as good all the time. I think there was more times when I was playing it, using the PS Remote Play app on the ROG Ally. There was still a lot of buffering that would happen, the pixelation. On this, the video quality looks amazing. It looks like it's straight off the PS5. In fact, some of it looks better depending on the game I'm playing and the pixels and everything, even though I have a 144 hertz VRR display that I use with my PS5. So that kind of goes back to that discussion I was having earlier about the size of the display and how good games look. Sometimes you don't need a huge display. You know, sometimes things can look better, a little more compact and focused. So you know, my impressions of the PlayStation Portal is, I think it's worth it if you're someone that's into that stuff, and then spending, you know, up to $200 is okay on another video game peripheral. Also, this just, you know, as much as I give so crap about stuff for PlayStation, I will say that they tend to push technology sometimes to where maybe it's not ready, but then eventually that's what becomes mainstream. Because remember when they had the PlayStation Now going on? I mean, even with the PlayStation Vita, you could do remote play into a PS3, and then they had PlayStation Now, which was cloud streaming. They've had this stuff for over 10 years already. It's just now all these other companies like Xbox have then picked up on it and been able to run with it with their funds they have available, Xbox, and really make it work. Sony's able to kind of get back to that and try to make it better. So, you know, it's interesting because then I'm like, well, now I'm more interested in playing something like Stellar Blade. Or getting it. I was going to wait and get Stellar Blade on PC. The reason I like to get things on PC so I can play it on my ROG Ally if needed. But I will be honest to say I don't play my ROG Ally that much. Although it's come in at certain times where I wanted to play something in the other room or not on my computer, so it works. But what's interesting about something with the PlayStation Portal is I don't have to worry about the graphics having to be reduced to be on a handheld. You know, so that's the difference with the ROG Ally and a PlayStation Portal. I'm really into this cloud technology. I do think the best handheld will be one that doesn't have to have all of the power built into it so it doesn't get hot. The battery will last longer. It'll be focused on the display and the controls, and then all that stuff is being beamed to the device itself. It's kind of like how the Wii U worked, and the Wii U worked really good. I was actually shocked with the Wii U. Yeah, doing that back then. It's funny to think how this technology has been around for a while. It really has. It's just now being adopted as a mainstream gaming thing. So, anyway, yeah, that's a quick one about the PlayStation Portal. If anyone has any questions about the PlayStation Portal, throw them into the comments. I would like, you know, I'm still discovering more that this device can do, how I can optimize it and everything. But let's head to what I've been playing. And some of that stuff I've already mentioned to a degree. So, yes, I'm playing a lot more Godzilla on PS4. Having a good time with that. It's just a good video gamey game. I just jumped into Astrobot to test the PlayStation Portal, and you know, with the way Astrobot works, where it's supposed to really take advantage of all the features of the DualSense 5, you know, all the vibration, the haptic feedback, etc. I wanted to experience that on the Portal, and it works just as good. Although I've learned, and I think I said this before on the show, I don't feel it's a necessity as much as it was for me before, that I need to have all these haptics and all the vibration. Sometimes it's annoying because then there's some sort of association sometimes with the action in a game and the feeling of the controller vibrating, or the force feedback on the triggers, where then that gets annoying and it's almost like there's some other thing there that I don't want to have to deal with. It's pretty interesting. It's like a habit association. And then I jumped into Castlevania because this is the only modern console that has Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood, right? I mean, you can play Symphony of the Night 360, arcade, but it's not on Switch, it's not on PC. Isn't that crazy? So another good reason to have this. Although I was playing a lot of Symphony of the Night on the ROG Ally with PS Remote Play. And yeah, that was mostly fine, but now I'm remembering the times where it would buffer during a boss fight, and it's like I can't deal with that because everything's pixel perfect, you know? And then I just jumped into GBO2 just to kind of see how that was running, see if I could get anything for free. I did. I got a bunch of mobile suits that I'm not too crazy about, but hey, at least I did that. And then Gundam Breaker 4. So yeah, this, unrelated to the PlayStation. I just got that itch again. This happens every once in a while to get into something like Gundam Breaker 4. I think it's a good palate cleanser between my sessions of Godzilla PS4 after beating it on PS3. And again, playing Gundam Breaker 4, it's not a deep combat system, but it is a deep Gunpla builder or character builder, because even I had some help. Santo Bell, a supporter of Gundam Explained, we jumped on and played. I think it was with Talos Mobius on Saturday night, and then Sunday morning a little with my time with Santo Bell, and we were just talking more about the interesting aspect of the game. The combat is not deep, but you can look at effects that certain weapons have that you can choose and carry over to your main weapon. And that is very, I don't know, that's like super optimizing, where I don't know how much you really need to do it unless there's something you want to do and you want to optimize your time to do it, like getting parts, for instance, or, certain types of parts that you want to get, or certain XP, you can build a strategy for that, or simply how you want to play the game. But I think my whole issue is, it's like I want to build a mobile suit that I'd want to use, but depending on the parts, I would have to go then farm parts to then make that mobile suit at a playable place for where I am in the game, unless I'm just going to go back and replay older levels. You see what I mean? I feel like there's this sort of grindy, and I think that's what it is. It's this grindy aspect to it, which I think I'm complaining about at the end of the day. Even the optimization of your loadout, of your Gunpla, can be grindy to the point where it's not necessary, but it can then do specific things you want to do. It doesn't make the combat more interesting. It just allows you to get more out of the combat style you like. So my plan is to finish getting the rest of the achievements. So let's see what I have not got yet. Let's see, cleared. Oh yeah, story mission 36 on new type. I was doing that with Santo Bell. I think it was mainly because of me, because I don't have anything at 50 except for a part and a weapon. I just got destroyed every second. Cleared all quest missions for 6 chapters. Need to do that. Used 3 diorama save slots. Filled all diorama save slots. Posted to the Mobile Suit Blueprint event gallery. Exhibit your own Gunpla statue in the lobby. And then cleared wave 30 in survival. Cleared wave 50 in the survival. These I should be able to do. It's and these, actually, I should be able to do all of these. So there's not too much more I have to do. And a lot of this is because I enjoy the game as a whole and not any individual parts. Like, I like that I'm in the Gundam world in a way. It's not like any specific lore. It's I'm being surrounded by Gundam stuff. I'm in a Gunpla that I built. So I think having certain objectives or missions for me to work on, I guess, allows me to have the fun as I'm getting to that. Because if there was nothing else to do in the game, I don't know if I would play. So, hey, Steven, what's up, man? What have you missed? Quite a lot, actually. I went over the impressions of the PlayStation Portal. Be sure to check that out later. Okay, so going back, the other thing, and I don't think I mentioned this because I had a show then, or maybe I did because now it's coming to me. I'll just mention it again. Road Redemption, $2.99. It's the people that are making that new Kingmaker game. Is that what it's called? Where it's like medieval, but you have like assault rifles and tanks and all that. It's pretty crazy. They came out with what is kind of like a road rash, pretty much. It's fun. You're on a motorcycle. You're driving really fast. There's tons of other guys on bikes around you, and the whole point is to knock them off, kick them off, race to the end. It has its jank. Again, I paid $2.99 for it. It has its jank, but at the same time, it's fun. It's just like optimized just for the fun. Okay, and Talos is confirming that it is Kingmakers. Check out that Kingmakers. It looks pretty cool. And I think the reason this game was on sale is because they're trying to promote Kingmakers coming out. The only thing I don't like about Road Redemption, and it's something some games have been doing lately, and even Godzilla does it, but it solves it, it's that the game becomes a roguelike. So it's like you start a quest, the mission, and then you would have to play all the way until you end. So let's say after a few levels I wanted to stop, I'd have to then quit my run. In a lot of games have been doing that recently, and you know, I'm not a fan when you then have to stop your progress. So for instance, in that game, to stop playing, I have to just quit the game and start over again. Now, there are some permanent upgrades that I get from that, but that's still kind of annoying. Whereas in the Godzilla game, I could get through, there's like 24 potential stages. I could get halfway through and be like, I'm done for now. And I'll just pick back up on the stage I last left off on. So that's the one thing about the game that kind of doesn't make sense to me. Because you can see I only played for 10 minutes. I got to a point where I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stop for now. But it doesn't save my game. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's about it for what I've been playing. I'm trying to think if there's anything I've been playing that doesn't pick up on Exophase. One thing that I'll be covering for the channel is this game that only came out in Japan. Wow, I can't even tell you what it's called. The only English on here says, this is not the story of some hero, this is your story. So if you look at like the top there, it might be hard to see. Yeah, there's Godzilla on the far edge there, but there's also Ultraman and some other giant, Evangelion, Gamera, which is funny because I was watching Evangelion last night because I've been trying to finish it. Basically what this game is you play someone on the ground floor while there's an attack, and you're trying to survive. That is awesome. I never heard of it. I don't know how I came across it, maybe on Reddit or something, and I was like, yeah, this is my type of game, and I think I paid $17 and imported this. So it's easy to get, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, so check that out. I would say check that out, but I have no name of it. Actually, let me look that up real quick, because I know I would have the name in the eBay listing. What I will do is, I don't know if it's going to be this week. I'm going to try to do it this week. It's called City Shrouded in Shadow. City Shrouded in Shadow. I guess meaning there's these titans walking around everywhere, kaiju. And anyway, I don't know if it will be this week or this weekend. I am going to start doing a playthrough of this. I don't know if I'm going to do it live, or I might start doing it live just to kind of experience what is this we're getting into. I might have to translate things on the fly or just guess what I'm pressing. But then I'll have a little bit more coverage for people to understand what this game contains, or what's possible that it does. It's crazy sometimes, the cool games that come out in Japan, but not here. That's been my whole life. Yeah, I remember my whole life. I remember looking at old EGM magazines or whatever and seeing games come out in Japan or games you can import. I'm like, man, that looks cool. That sounds cool. Yeah, I don't think it was until... Personally, I don't think it was until Dreamcast that I was importing. I want to say, though, there's a few games before that on the older systems that I got... like secondhand somewhere, and it happened to be Japanese or whatever. All right, we're going to jump into some news real quick. This is really cool. Speaking of Stellar Blade, which I'm like, I might as well get that on PS5 now that I have this portal. Stellar Blade Studio Shift Up has gifted all its employees a PS5 Pro and $3,400. How cool is that? Because, Stellar Blade did pretty well, I think, for being on PlayStation, but once they release it on PC, I think it's gonna be amazing. See, that's the thing. I'm seeing the PS5 Pro here. I'm not gonna buy a PS5 Pro. That's just a little too much. When I already have my PC, and it's like, well, shouldn't I just? I would just upgrade my PC if I need to, but I don't need to upgrade my PC. I would just then wait for Stellar Blade, because then if I'm playing Stellar Blade on my old school PS5, I'm playing a poorer version. Isn't that weird how that works out? If I can somehow get a Pro by selling my PS5 and not having to pay too much, I would do that. But it's not like I need to. Again, most game, and actually, this is another video for another time. I was really looking deep into PS5 Pro video comparisons, and it does not seem it's worth it, although I don't want to say that to someone that wants to get it, but I just mean in terms of what I look for. I think it was Digital Foundry. They were kind of doing comparisons. I guess the graphical fidelity you get impacts at the end of the day the frame rate you would want to achieve. But some people are fine with a base 30 or 60, but you can go up, 120. Anyway, this is just cool news. It's great when employers can do that. This is cool news too. Sonic movie franchise grosses over $1 billion. So it's interesting. I thought maybe this was more popular to the point that it would do like a billion, I guess, after a movie or two. But I guess it took 3 movies, and I guess I'm just so caught up with like Marvel box office or something, or DC, where they're like, superhero movies, we need to make $1 billion all the time. Well, I guess it's not really the case, especially when we know the budgets of these movies. But I'm just so glad to see the Sonic movie doing well. And it's because they're able to make them where they're not like offensive to the Sonic franchise lore. Unless it's just I'm at an age now where I'm able to look past some stuff. For instance, I remember when I saw the Mario movie when I was a kid, the one that came out like in 93 or whatever that was. And I'm just like, what did I watch? I don't even know what I watched. But looking back, it's a very interesting experiment, but it didn't really do anything to propel. I think how the Mario movie worked well too is propelling you into that world and respecting your time. I think what 3 did better over 2 was less Earth-human story and more just like story between Sonic, Robotnik. So, them. Hey, this is pretty cool. Actually, let me go to chat real quick. I saw some chats. Someone made the joke, notice how they got cash instead of games. Let's see. Talos Mobius, the PS5 Pro is meant to be just a graphical and architecture upgrade, but I'd say hold off until PS6. We might be a couple years away. Yeah, that's the other thing. Was like that with the PS4 Pro too. I ended up getting the Pro. I did notice a little bit of difference, but it was never a big deal. Sonic remains undefeated at the box office. 2020 killed the original at the box office. What do you mean by that exactly? 2020 needed the original? Let me know what you mean by that, Chris. Okay, so here's something that was exciting to me, and that's Tokyo Extreme Racer. This was one, wasn't it Dreamcast? I played the crap out of this, and I remember this time, I think this was in high school or something, or right after high school, or I would take my Dreamcast over to my friends, or my friends had a Dreamcast, and I had my own VMU, and we would take turns playing as we would also be on PCs or something, and just like max out our cars or whatever. I had a car called 000. I just thought that was a cool name. It's from a song from AFI. Those were the days. Those were the days. He means COVID made the original not as successful since people didn't go to... Oh, interesting. Interesting. I didn't think about that. That's a good point, to think of movies that could have been more successful, but due to COVID. When it was the opposite. Some games were more successful just because of COVID. It's very interesting how that works. Especially then thinking about how much studios really bank on ticket sales versus money they get from streaming. That's still up in the air. Let's see. Let me see if this actually takes me to. It does. It takes me to the Steam page. Wow. The only thing I'm not crazy about is that this is coming out in early access, which, let's see. Is it going to be free in early access? Is it going to be cheaper? Let's see what they have to say. How long will this game be in early access? The plan is to improve the quality of the game by making various improvements based on approximately 4 months of early access. Oh. That's actually, that sounds good, actually. It's, okay, this reminds me of, there's a game recently that did that, but I want to say it was like a beta. But the game was out essentially, but this allowed for tuning without too much of the community speaking up, being like, why is this game like this? Why is this game like this? And it could be like, oh, well, it's really in early access, which I think is a good idea. Depending on, okay, what's the difference between the full release? Okay, upon release of early access, the game will include the story playable up to roughly the halfway mark with a focus on SP battle and the car tuning features, player skill gains, and new features of the franchise will be included. Okay. Okay, so they're really focusing on the way the cars drive, the skills, etc. Let's see. With the addition of content features, we may decide to increase the price for full release. However, people who purchase the early access version won't be able to continue. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I am interested because it's going to be just 2 weeks of early access. I didn't even look at any videos. I mean, I know what... Okay, just show the racing. I know what to expect. Is it really just CGI videos? I know what to expect from Tokyo Extreme Racer. I'm just hoping this is a racing game that makes me enjoy racing a game. I feel like it's been a while since racing has been fun. Is it just... Yeah, again, no video. And I wouldn't even say the purpose of this, just looking at it, is to have, like, amazing graphics. It's almost, like, good enough. Yeah. Curious. Got it on my wish list. That's a neat little surprise. Yeah, yeah, I don't know when Initial D came out, but I know Tokyo Extreme Racer has been around since the 90s. Yeah, and in fact, at arcade I was at this weekend, they had Initial D there. Yeah, I can't wait to get back into Tokyo Extreme Racer. I had so much fun with that. Okay. New alleged Switch 2 Joy-Con photo shared from Chinese manufacturer. So what's interesting about this is someone took the serial number and they put it on Nintendo's website for the warranty, and it actually popped up. So this is a legit. Interesting that we're not getting the front. Let's see. I wonder if is there more of a bump here and it's supposed to be a little bigger. I'm just not a fan of Joy-Cons anyway. I guess it's great to have as a secondary controller for someone, but it's not fun. All right, so this is interesting. One of Switch 2's first third-party ports may have been revealed, and it's, Gotham Knights? It's a multiplayer game that came out, I don't know, 5 or more years ago. So it's not like they're putting the Suicide Squad on it. They're doing Gotham Knights, which is interesting because even it would show Gotham Knights would have more playtime than Suicide Squad. It's just Gotham Knights was another multiplayer 4-player game. Very interesting. There might be more to it. I don't know. I haven't tried it. But anyway, just it coming out on Switch 2 is another example of a whole bunch of other things happening. One, the fact that Suicide Squad was that bad, and an old game like this, not old, but relatively speaking, is getting ported to Switch 2. How many other games are we going to see ported to Switch 2? That's going to be exciting. Okay, was there anything else? Okay, I thought this was pretty interesting. So developer interviewer Kiwi talks about what Retro Studios was working on between Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze, Metroid Prime Remastered. Also, in regards to the project they were on between Tropical Freeze and Metroid Prime Remastered, it was some type of music RPG game where the main mechanic was singing. It was a huge disaster. After years of it going nowhere, Nintendo canceled the project and put Retro on remastering the full Metroid Prime trilogy. This was also to help Retro develop the production pipeline to be able to outsource for assistance in the future. So like if they were making another Metroid Prime 4, for instance. Since all their games were all internally made, you also see a lot of external studios help on Prime 1 Remastered. When everything fell through with Bandai Namco's work on Prime 4, so remember, Bandai Namco was originally working on a Metroid Prime 4. I feel like that's a completely different type of company to be working on a Metroid Prime. You know, I think Nintendo having a Western studio make a Metroid Prime game because it's first person makes sense. I guess the West kind of really took off with the first person genre, but the argument that I would make is, you know, even with Metroid Dread, they used a Western developer for, but that's for the side-scrolling aspect. And finally, I saw a post this morning somewhere about Metroid Dread where someone's like, okay, I finished this game, but it's not as great as everyone is saying. And I'm like, yeah, and the only reason I want to bring that to light is I think Nintendo needs to take their 2D Metroid a lot more seriously. I think if they did that, they would really get more people on board. But anyway, so Bandai Namco's work on Metroid Prime 4 was given back to Retro. They patched things up with Tanabe after their fallout, and they could only finish a remaster of the first Prime, as all resources had to be moved to Prime 4. Unsure what the story is now with Prime 2 and 3 remasters. So that's very interesting, just seeing where the development went, the fact that we were supposed to get 2 and 3, we haven't yet. And then I guess they're working on 4. Hopefully we'll see something about that soon. So, all right. Well, you know, it's about that time. I got to get out. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, PlayStation Portal, really shocked how well this works. It makes me want to get Stellar Blade, but then the rabbit hole of, well, it's going to be out on PC, but then there's also the PS5 Pro to play Stellar Blade on. But if I get it on PC, there's no handheld that would be able to emulate as good of graphics of a PC to a handheld like the PS5 does with the mirroring. Let's use like GeForce Now or something. I need to test out GeForce Now. That would be my next step. All right, well, I'm going to head to work, but it's nice talking to y'all. See y'all later.